You know, Gauss is holding me in a pretty interesting situation right now. For starters, he fits what I love about this game, being that he spams abilities, yet hybridizes as a weapon slinger, keeping his gameplay constantly active and balls to the walls, which you guys know I love. But on the other hand, his battery makes me want to hop in the ring with Duracell and go 9 rounds beating the shit out of this thing. Gauss is a fun-ass frame, but Jesus Christ, maintaining his battery is a pain in the ass, especially in Redline. And we'll get to that when we go over Redline, but trust me, there's a lot to go over here, so let's just get this started. Gauss's passive is, while he is moving, he generates an electrical current that fills his battery displayed here. His shields will recharge up to 120% faster, and the recharge delay will be up to 80% shorter based on where your battery is at. Now, a couple things to note. See this red line right here? No, not that red line, this red line. There you go. That represents 80% battery. I thought it represented 100% and past it was an overcap, but no, this is 80% and this is 100%. Keep that in mind as we go over the rest of his kit. His first ability is Mach Rush, bursting into a sprint, pummeling all in his way until he crashes into an object in which he will create a shockwave in a radius around the point of impact. Mach Rush is cheap and for good reason. You're going to be spamming the hell out of this ability every opportunity you get. You're in a hallway, Mach Rush. An enemy in your way, Mach Rush. Want to simulate what it's like to be a YouTuber streamer and work 40 plus hours a week while maintaining a steady schedule and unreal deadlines you arbitrarily put on yourself? Mach Rush into a wall. This ability charges up Gauss's battery and is one of the only ways to charge it in his kit, which is kinda shitty in my opinion. Battery is Gauss's way of draining to use some of his abilities. It's drained in 3 vectors, 4 if you count both aspects of his 2, but it's only charged by 2 vectors, 3 if you count him running around, which is just part of his passive. So, having more drain than gain makes his battery a slight pain in the ass to maintain, and here's why. Kinetic plating says that it will drain battery as it gives Gauss DR, up to 100% based on your battery, but as we just discussed, outside of Redline, this is capped at 80%, which, as far as DR goes, isn't the best, but it's still better than Urelli baseline, but that's really like comparing dog shit to a Tesla, so let's just move on. Gauss's battery drains over time while this is active and gets drained a chunk each hit that Gauss is given. So, while this is on, Mach Rushing and running around is a necessity if you want to keep that 80% DR. When you're hit, it converts the energy you take into actual energy for you. What that means is if you're hit by any kinetic damage, such as physical heat, cold, or blast, you'll get that energy converted into your own energy. However, viral, magnetic, and toxin and the like will still go through. So, my statement in this Limbo video still stands.
Casting and closing a cataclysm.
Moving on to ability 3, Thermal Sunder siphons kinetic energy in the area, charging his battery and inflicting cold to nearby enemies. However, if you hold the ability, it reverses this process, costing some of your battery but dealing heat damage. If you cast them both in rapid succession, you will cause a blast proc. Now, something to note here. While Redline is active, Cold will freeze the enemies in place, Burn will deal more damage faster, and Blast will shred armor. Another note, this kills off of melee mods, meaning that the damage can get absolutely absurd when you're in Redline. Finally, Gauss surpasses his limits after a short charge up. He will just get some extra battery. That's literally it. He gets extra battery. And fire rate and attack speed and reload speed and holster speed, but who gives a shit about those? While Redline is active and he is over the red line on his battery meter, I see what you did there, DE, he will begin charging up a percentage. This charges faster the higher the bar is above his red line. And once it reaches 100%, Gauss gains max free DR, free hot casts of his Thermal Sunder, max bonuses on his fire rate, attack speed, reload speed, and holster speed, and will periodically fire bolts of energy out at random enemies in random directions. That's a lot to say that he essentially transcends into turning into a demigod, and is capable of handling even the toughest enemies the game has to offer, as long as they're not dealing one of the damage types that he really can't stop. Gauss has 1 augment at his disposal, so as tradition, I'll weigh my 2 cents on it, but I also want to propose my own here. Mach Crash. says that upon impact with Mach Rush, he will leave an 8-meter radius vacuum that sucks in enemies, kind of like a larva on Nidus, but shittier. This seems fine, but I don't really see the need for it, and personally wouldn't add it to his build, as I don't really find it necessary. How he is played right now is perfectly fine, and the vacuum doesn't really do that much. I could see it working, since when you have kinetic plating active and you charge into a wall, it will inflict slash procs, so you could suck enemies in with the slash procs to do it again and again, but besides that, it's kind of meh. However, that one augment that I want to recommend, Redline Rush. While Redline is active, you have 100% charge. You consume no ammo in your weapons for 15 seconds, or until your redline runs out, as redline will scale with your duration. So if you're running low duration, you can have a very short term redline 100%. However, if you're running a lot of duration, you can have a longer redline 100%. This makes it so that you'll kind of be deeper into the weapon slinger hybridization that I talked about, and make him able to have a higher high once he reaches that 100% threshold. Is it needed? Not at all. But would it be fun? Hell yeah, it would. For builds, the best build I have come to make for him is what I have on screen right now, not skipping too much on the power or range, as range is kind of important for Thermal Sunder, and damage negatively impacts your DR, but you have to keep a heavy focus on your duration and efficiency, because you're going to be spamming a lot, and duration ties into your battery charge. Alright, with that all out of the way, do I recommend Gauss? Yeah, I do, for literally everyone. His farm is kind of tedious, but it isn't nearly as bad as, say, Harrow's and some of the other frames I've gone over, and he's an absolute blast to play. Even if you aren't a fan of him, Thermal Sunder is his Helminth ability, so you veterans out there can subsume him for Thermal Sunder and put it on someone like, I don't know, Limbo, who runs a lot of range anyway, so you can turn him into a room clearing frame. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one.